Welcome to SenseTalking on this mind-boggling deep dive. Today we're plunging into, well, a reality facing a lot of young people graduating right now. And it's a reality that's often pretty disheartening. Feels deeply unfair, really. We're not just talking about a tough job market. For many Gen Z graduates, it feels more like a profound employment crisis. You hear these stories.
I'm Caitlin. I'm a university graduate and I applied to 647 roles before I got one.
Nobody will even give me an interview.
I basically am not able to get a job.
I really don't understand how people are finding full-time jobs.
Honestly, even just curious about the future of work and how this generation is coping, this deep dive is definitely for you.
Yeah, and you really hit on something crucial there. This isn't like a few isolated cases we're talking about. This is becoming the widespread reality for a whole cohort. And many of them genuinely feel like they've been, well, lied to about that traditional path, Education straight into a stable career. So our mission today is to unpack the three core reasons behind this crisis, these converging factors. First, there's the undeniable rapid rise of AI. Can't ignore that. Second, the impact of global trade jitters, tariff concerns, all that creating economic uncertainty. And third, those lingering effects from the post-pandemic job market slowdown. Things haven't quite bounced back as expected. We want to explore what can actually be done to navigate this really challenging landscape and maybe touch on the long-term implications for everyone. Oh, and just to be super clear, you are listening to real humans talking here. No AI involved, at least not on our end yet.
Okay, right. Let's really try and get our heads around the scale of this first, because seriously, if you're out there struggling to find a job right now, please know it is absolutely not just you. This is a huge systemic thing happening globally.
The numbers, they paint a pretty stark picture. That 3-month moving average unemployment rate for recent grads, it's sitting around 5.3%. Now, compare that to the national average of 4.2%, significantly higher. And what's really historic, possibly unprecedented, is that this might be the first time ever that specific rate for new grads has been this high relative to the overall average. And like you said, it's not just one country, it's global. Look at Australia. Graduate job postings keep falling even as more grads enter the workforce. The UK, facing its toughest job market since 2018. Over half of college grads there are now considered unemployable. That's staggering. China's youth unemployment rate officially hit 17% last year, and honestly, many experts think the real number is much higher. And back in the US, recent grads are actually more likely to be unemployed than the general workforce. The college grad unemployment rate hit 6.6%, highest in a decade. If you exclude the initial pandemic shock, it's just an incredibly tough blow for people who've worked so hard, Leaves them feeling pretty disillusioned.
Wow, that's a really sobering global snapshot. Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting, maybe a bit unsettling too. Humans have always had this sort of anxiety around technology and jobs, haven't they? Like, think back to the Luddites smashing looms. They were terrified automation would take their livelihoods, or even the horseless carriage, right? Sure, it killed jobs related to horses, but it created masses of new ones in the auto industry. So the big question now is AI just following that pattern, or is it, fundamentally different this time?
That's the critical question, isn't it? And yeah, many people argue AI is different. See, unlike previous tech that mostly replaced physical labor or automated very specific narrow tasks, AI is really the first tool we've made that seems capable of general cognitive labor. What that means is it can learn and do a really wide range of thinking tasks, not just repetitive physical stuff. Think about it. AI can write, it can analyze, reason, even create in ways machines just couldn't before. It's stepping into roles that needed human brains. And we're seeing this play out already. There's Andrew Cole. His video went semi-viral. He talked about how 3 of his skill sets, writing for a YouTube channel, working with a book publisher, were just repeatedly devalued and then straight up replaced by AI. He said, I just simply can't compete. I can't write that fast. He felt AI made his entire skill set basically useless. And the economic predictions, they're pretty sobering too. Goldman Sachs, back in 2023, predicted AI could potentially wipe out 300 million jobs globally. Even more starkly, Dario Amodei, the CEO of Anthropic, warned AI could eliminate maybe half of all entry-level white-collar jobs in just 5 years. 5 years. And we're seeing signs, real-world signs already. Unusually high unemployment among grads in technical fields like computer science, finance areas where AI is moving fast. Some tech companies are apparently skipping junior developers now, focusing on mid-level hires or racing to build these virtual workers. It wasn't long ago everyone was saying, learn to code, your kids need computer science.
Right, that was the big push.
Exactly. Now it's almost flipped. This is the programming paradox. The aim of some AI is basically to eliminate the need for humans to do the actual programming. AI can translate plain English or other natural languages into code. So someone with zero coding experience could potentially program just by telling the AI what to do.
Whoa.
Yeah, it shifts the skill from writing code to effectively instructing the AI. It aims to close that gap, make everyone a programmer, in a sense. Now, okay, AI still makes mistakes. It needs human oversight. 55% of companies apparently regretted replacing workers with AI too quickly, but the potential is there. One human supervisor plus AI could maybe replace 10 workers in some fields. And unlike, say, Europe, countries like the US and Australia don't really have strong guardrails yet for these high-risk AI systems.
That's a huge shift in thinking about future skills.
Okay, but beyond the tech disruption, there's this other major force, the broader economic uncertainty. Because even if your skills are kind of AI-proof, this whole global climate trade worries, tariffs, it's making companies nervous about any new hires, right? So what happens then?
Yeah, exactly. When uncertainty hits, companies instinctively pump the brakes on hiring. Brett Ryan, an economist at Deutsche Bank, calls it a low hiring but low firing situation. So companies aren't necessarily panicking and laying off lots of existing staff, but they're definitely not bringing in much new talent. It's like an employment freeze.
An employment freeze.
And young workers are particularly vulnerable in this scenario. David Deming, a Harvard economist, sees young workers as investments for companies.
Right.
And in uncertain times, what's the first thing businesses cut back on? Investments. Karen Kimbrough at LinkedIn adds that entry-level folks often take time to learn the job, which makes them less appealing during a hiring freeze.
Makes sense. And the evidence backs this up. U.S. hiring slowed to its worst pace in a decade recently. Job cuts are up like 47% year on year in many sectors.
Yeah.
Even MBA grads from top schools Wharton, Stanford, they're struggling more than usual to find those high-level roles. And think about Australia's small, open economy, very sensitive to global shifts. They're seeing job losses despite low overall unemployment. The Wall Street Journal linked that directly to the, quote, haphazard nature of U.S. trade policies messing with global confidence. And then there's this other really frustrating thing, ghost job posting.
Ghost jobs, what are those?
Yeah, it's where companies post fake job ads.
Fake. Why?
Well, a few reasons, apparently. To make the company look like it's growing and doing well. Sometimes just to collect resumes and candidate data for the future. And get this, sometimes to make their current employees feel replaceable, like they need to work harder.
Oh, that's cynical.
It really is.
Yeah.
And over 60% of companies surveyed actually admitted to doing this. So, when one of our listeners, GeoPlanet, mentioned that AI application tracking systems, the ATS software,
Yeah, the resume scanners.
right, those things, he said they've obliterated the integrity of simple applications. He's hitting on how these systems filter resumes based on keywords and specific formats. If your resume isn't perfectly tailored, a human might never even see it. And that adds another layer of just, frustration when you're applying for jobs that might not even be real in the first place.
That is a truly disheartening situation for anyone looking for work.
Whoa.
Okay, let's move to the third major cause you mentioned, the one reshaping the job market post-pandemic. That new normal we talked about isn't so new now, and that remote work boom. Well, seems like it's kind of over, isn't it?
It really is. The landscape shifted dramatically. Remote work was seen as this great equalizer for a while, opening up opportunities everywhere. But yeah, that boom is largely done. Today, only about 1 in 5 jobs listed on LinkedIn are remote or hybrid.
Only 1 in 5.
But get this, those few remote hybrid jobs, they get 60% of all applications.
Whoa, intense competition then.
Fierce competition. Then the whole job hopping dynamic has flipped too. Remember, in 2023, job switchers got bigger pay rises.
Right.
Around 7.7% versus 5.5% for those who stayed put.
Yeah, paid to move.
Right. But by this year, 2025, it completely flipped. Staying workers actually got bigger raises, 4.6%, while job switchers only saw a tiny 0.2% increase, basically nothing. So we're rapidly heading back towards workplace loyalty, kind of like the baby boomer era. You see stories like Joss Fogel, a customer success specialist, laid off from a $170K job, ended up taking a new role at $120K, and he basically said, no one is paying like they used to. If you don't like it, there's 50 people behind you.
Oof, grim reality.
Yeah, and the consequence of fewer people quitting, fewer jobs opening up to backfill those positions. And that just clogs up the whole entry-level career ladder, making it even tougher for recent grads to get that first rung.
Okay, so we've got AI shaking things up, economic uncertainty causing freezes, and this tighter, more loyal job market. With all these challenges converging, what does this actually mean for you, the listener? What can recent graduates or even people still figuring out their path realistically do to navigate all this?
It definitely requires a more strategic approach now, proactive, you know. When thinking about careers, the AI safest sectors generally involve physical work or that kind of face-to-face human interaction meeting real judgment. Think like a pile driver operator, rail track layer, water treatment plant operator, dredge operator. Maybe not glamorous, but likely safer from AI for now. Jeffrey Hinton, you know, the godfather of AI, his famous advice is a good bet would be to be a plumber.
A plumber.
Yeah. On the flip side, fields like writing, sales, history, translation, journalism, graphic design, animation, those look pretty risky right now because AI is getting good at those tasks fast. Even computer science, as we said, is tricky. Tech companies want AI specialists more than junior coders now. Accounting and engineering, they seem kind of okay for now. And nursing, healthcare, education, still bright spots for demand, but they have their own issues with burnout and pay, obviously. What's interesting, too, is seeing how Gen Z is reacting. Many are actually turning away from traditional universities.
Really? Towards what?
Towards blue-collar work, skilled trades, things that don't need a 4-year degree. We've seen a historic drop in U.S. college enrollment. Students are going for vocational skills, getting into the workforce quicker, maybe starting their own businesses, setting their own earning potential. And as the older generation of tradespeople retires, Gen Z might just step up to fill that huge skills gap. Then there's the whole if you can't bet 'em, join 'em idea with AI. Corey Kantegar at LinkedIn says employers increasingly want people who can work with AI, not just separate from it. That's key for future success.
So upskilling in AI is smart then?
Absolutely. AI literacy, prompt engineering, it's wise for almost anyone. And entrepreneurship is booming too, especially among young people. The 18 to 24 age group, fastest growing group of entrepreneurs in the U.S., hitting near record numbers. There's that controversial example, Roy Lee, the 21-year-old.
Yeah, the guy expelled from Columbia.
That's him. Built an undetectable AI tool for exams, got expelled, then founded a startup with it, raising millions, projected to make $2 million this year. It shows how AI can empower just one person to launch something big. And finally, there is maybe a small glimmer of hope. Some people are calling it a dot-com bubble analogy for AI.
Okay, how does that work?
Well, it's not just wishful thinking. Some researchers suggest we might be hitting a kind of plateau with this specific generation of AI. Progress might slow down a bit before the next big breakthrough.
A plateau. Why?
Could be several things. Limitations in current large language model architecture, the massive computing power needed to train bigger models, or just the sheer difficulty of getting AI to true general intelligence beyond specific tasks. If that happens, it gives you, the listener, a crucial window. It means you have time to adapt, to learn how to work with AI as a tool, time to lean into those uniquely human skills, critical thinking, empathy, complex problem solving, instead of feeling like you're in an immediate race against the machines. It's about strategic adaptation, not panic.
That's a lot to take in.
Robots are stealing human jobs faster than anyone predicted, and 8 major industries just proved human workers are becoming completely obsolete. Waymo autonomous taxis are already serving 200,000 paid rides per week with 0 human drivers, while Amazon deployed 750,000 warehouse robots that sort packages faster and more accurately than any human worker. In China, robotic gas station attendants refuel cars without human help, and robot chefs trained on 5 million recipes are cooking restaurant-quality meals with perfect precision every single time. Boston Dynamics robots are now operating professional film cameras and performing backflips while capturing movie scenes, completely replacing human camera operators who spent decades mastering their craft. The most terrifying example is robots repairing high-voltage power lines because utility companies realize machines never get electrocuted, never fall, and never demand overtime pay or health insurance. These aren't prototypes or future concepts. Every single one of these robots is working right now, earning money for companies while human workers get laid off and replaced.
This really is a period of major adjustment for the whole world figuring this out.
It really does feel like a monumental adjustment period, doesn't it, for the whole world? The complexity of all these things hitting at once is just undeniable. Creates a unique challenge for this generation.
Exactly. And while the future, it's going to look very different from anything we've seen before, young people still have the most valuable resource there is: time. You have time to figure out how to navigate this admittedly really difficult environment. Humans are incredibly adaptable. History shows us that. There's potential for the market to improve or for structural changes to happen, maybe from the bottom up, through that entrepreneurial spirit we talked about, or maybe from the top down, through bigger societal shifts or policy changes. Things can evolve.
Some powerful thoughts to end on there. Definitely a lot to think about and keep exploring. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. If you found this useful or insightful, please do consider subscribing to Sense Talking. We'll have more deep dives into topics that matter to you.